All right, and we are live. So, Natalie, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. Um, just briefly, first of all, just tell the audience who you are, what season of life you're currently walking through, and what's been on your heart lately.
Ooh, okay. Um, I'm Natalie Lampley. I'm born and raised here in Iowa, Des Moines specifically.
Mm,
The season of life I am currently walking in, that's a good one. um, I guess really just enjoying the journey, figuring out who I am, staying true to that, to my beliefs, especially in the world and the climate that we're currently living in, not getting unfocused. Um,
yeah.
as I like to say, stay focused, stay on my knees, stay in my lane. I'm trying to mind my business, keep the eye on the prize, and not get involved in too many unnecessary distractions.
Okay.
Um, that's kind of where I'm at, I suppose.
Is there anything that's been in your thought process or your emotional wheel recently?
If I'm going to be 100,
Be
accepting the
100.
fact that we are, well, accepting the fact that we are getting older, and life is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And with that comes preparation and facing realities that sometimes folks don't necessarily want to face. Oh, don't talk about it. You'll speak it into existence, or, don't think like that. But the reality is we have to think like that, and we have to be prepared. And that has really been, I'd say in general, it's always been lingering in the back of my mind. But here within the last 2 to 3 months, I have had several family members, friends pass
Mhm.
away. So it's been a little more, I've been a little more adamant with, I need to get my ducks in the row for the benefit of myself and for my family.
What does that look like? Um, Yeah, what does that look like as far? I mean, does it cause you to, for instance, um, be a little bit more attentive to what's happening in front of you, like you're sort of talking about before, I believe? Does it cause you to actually do a little bit of structural planning as far as if anything happens, this is how I've got something in documentation? Like, what does that look like for you?
Both. One, really learning to appreciate and marvel in the here and now.
Mhm.
Um, Being grateful for the blessings and the grace that has been shown, um, and not saying, and I say that because, and not alluding that anyone else doesn't. That's not what I'm saying. But I think sometimes we get caught up in life and we forget to realize where it really comes from. And so just
Mhm.
making sure I am being aware of that. So aware of that, but also aware of my surroundings, and making sure that I am trying to spend time with my family, be present with my family, check in with my family, um, closer, not so, obviously my children and whatnot, and my husband, but even like the cousins and the other folks that I haven't talked to so much, and just making sure that I appreciate those bonds and let they know that I appreciate them and the connections that we have. But then even taking the step further of, what does this look like for me? If I was to unfortunately pass away tomorrow, what would this look like? How would this look? Am I prepared? Is my family prepared? Physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, the whole thing. And if I had to, if I was in, I'm a planner, like I'll plan 6, 7 months out on some stuff. So if I had to, I'm planning as if it's tomorrow. If something happened tomorrow, I need to have all of this stuff done today. And so I have, um, I mean, my mother actually passed away the day after Thanksgiving, and
Oh, wow.
um, I have, that has been more pressing on my mind more than anything, just because of what we are going through as her children, and getting those things finalized. And again, people just don't really think about it. I don't think they think about how much goes into it and
Mhm.
what all is required. From passwords to
Right.
certified documents to, well, I think I think this is where it's at, but I don't really know. I mean, just that whole element. And I actually was teasing my kiddos because I said, Mama's actually pretty good on some stuff. Um, Over the years, I've collected things and I've called myself trying to get organized. But again, it's been over the years. So it doesn't really do any good if I'm working on it over the years. But I had pulled out some of the things that I had been working on,
Mhm.
and was just like, okay, I'm going to reassess. I'm going to get it together, complete my checklist. I'm not, I'm going to make sure I have all the birth certificates and all the important documents, all together in one place.
Mhm.
And in the course of me doing this, I actually came across some stuff that I had already been working on and was just like, oh my goodness, mom was so thoroughly impressed. I said, I did some of this stuff so many years ago. And the only reason I knew I did it several years ago was because the information that I put in there was regarding an employer. So I was just like, oh, wow, I did that like 6, 7 years ago, but it's still not done. But at least I was on the right way, And so it really just kind of like I'm on it from a current standpoint. Get your butt in order, get the stuff done, but you're on the right path. And then just really utilizing the situation that we're experiencing because of my mother as a guiding tool too. She had some really good things in place. She was doing some really good things. How do I mirror that? What do I want it to look like? And how do I take it a step further to make it easier and better for my kiddos? And just that's where my focus is on that. I don't want to harp on that too long, but preparation. We need to be we need to be prepared. And as people of color, we need to face the reality, be prepared, get our health exams, take care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. It's unfortunately, we all know we will pass away one day. The thing is, we don't know when or how.
Yeah, hey, don't mess up. And if we did, we probably jack it up.
We'd still figure out a way to get it right. Absolutely. So I'm just,
right.
Yeah. So just really just making sure I know I've done all that I can do and make sure that I have prepared myself enough for my children in the event something was to happen. And not only me, but them. They're starting their young families. So making sure, hey, get this stuff while you guys are young and the rates are cheaper and the health isn't a concern. And I don't care what the trials and tribulations are. Don't let go of this. If you get rid of your cell phone before you get rid of the life insurance policy, because there's things that can yield from this, like, depending on what type of policy you have. So just, really getting them even focused on looking ahead. And yes, as sad and morbid as it can be, it's still the reality.
Does experiencing death in the family and going through this process of looking at re-examining your own what your own personal ducks in order, does it cause you to reset your goals or look at how you are accomplishing goals, or like
I would say absolutely. No, okay. I do. Absolutely. I looked at, I'm 48. So I was like, okay, when's the earliest I can retire? What does that look like? And then when I went and contacted, my retirement folks, and we were talking, and they were like, well, you don't meet the rule of 88, but you can do this and you can do that. And it put it into perspective, because I was just like, oh, wow. Then I need to do this in order to make this, in order to get this paid off. If I don't want this headache when I turn 62, it really kind of made me revamp and think on how I saving more aggressively, how I want to invest, investing in different things instead of one thing. It just, and I don't know, maybe it's that age, because, you're 40, you're getting to that age and you're like, okay, now this is adulting. This is real adulting. It's not that adulting that these 20-year-olds be thinking, like, this is real adulting. And so it's like, okay, I never thought about that. And so it does put things into a different perspective, depending on, do you want to, like I said, do you want to retire at 62 or do you want to go to 65? And what does that look like? It's only 3 years, but then am I going to, what do I need to save in order to then, if I retire at 62, God willing, allows me to live 15 more years, how much do I need to have put aside in order to be comfortable in those retire? So it's just, yes, it makes you rethink a lot of things and refocus your priorities on some stuff. Absolutely.
Does that get morbid at all?
Actually, like I said, it's kind of like, ooh, I'm adulting. Like, it's kind of like I done moved I already thought I moved from the little kid table to the big kid table, but now it's like, Ooh, I moved from the big kid table to the adult table. Like I get to sit at the fancy one with the with the leaf, no more cardboards, no more little card tables and pop-ups, but
Yeah.
no, it just I think it is for me. I clearly I'm kind of a jokester, but for me it's really refreshing and
Yeah.
realistic for me.
Okay.
I'm not I have between the line of work that I've done, I do, and just life in general. Fortunately, death has always been something that seems to be has been around me,
Okay.
and so early on, this was introduced to me. My grandparents died when I was younger. My father died when I was younger. So this has
Okay.
always been something in the back
Okay.
of my head.
Okay.
But as I get older, and you learn a little bit more and like your kids, you start to have your own family and kids, you start to look at things a little bit different, and then you keep looking at it a little bit different because you start to see it through these different lenses over time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously hindsight, insight, foresight, if I knew then what I knew now, what I mean, would I change anything, would I did anything, but everything kind of led me to this point. And
Oh.
so I can appreciate that. That's why I said I was kind of excited. Like I can beat myself up for not having it all done right away in the safety deposit box. Boom, you know what I mean? But I can appreciate the journey because I understand why it is important to have now versus somebody just telling me you need to go do it. Now I understand why I need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand not only why I need to do it, why I need to keep doing it and make sure it's done. And like I said, if I have to give up anything else, don't give these things up. Make sure you're maintaining these policies or these accounts or whatever the case may be, because this is going to help the next generation. You may not be able to solve the next generation's woes, but it's starting to help build for the next. It allows me to maintain what I need to maintain now, make sure my kiddos are in a position. If something happened to me, they're okay. And quite honestly, if something even happened to them, that their children are okay. Like I said, just starting that process. I'm not going to go as far as saying generational wealth or legacy type thing, because I look at that a little bit differently. I look at legacy as kind of internally what I leave behind, not materialistically what I leave behind. And so it's for me, it's just I want them to be situated, comfortable. A little struggle ain't gonna hurt nobody. You know what I mean? But I don't. It builds character and resilience. But I don't want to make it so difficult to where they can't move forward. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah, I want to unpack that a little bit. So you have kids. My assumption is they're in their adult years, or they're nearing toward in their adult years. Do you believe in inheritance? Do you believe that you should pass things materialistically down to your kids? Will that? I mean, yeah, everybody's got a different take on it. What's your take on that?
I actually like you going there. So, what's the easiest way to put this? Yes and no to answer your question. Okay. And hear me out. When my grandmother died, she actually did leave me an inheritance.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Wasn't massive, but it was enough for me to go to school and do what I was supposed to do if I was supposed to do it. You know what I mean? But I turned 18. I was grown. My mom couldn't stop me. You can't do anything about it. I'm an adult. This is mine. And so on and so forth. Yeah, granted, I went to school, so on and so forth. But looking back now to then, if I would have knew then what I knew now, I would have moved differently. But more importantly, even if my mom would have probably knew a little bit differently then, she probably would have forced me to do things differently. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say it didn't keep me from doing anything in life. So I'm not going to say the inheritance made me or broke me, but it definitely could have maybe have enhanced some things for me if I would have been moving more knowledgeably in the area. Okay. With that being said, I actually had a reporter from the Minnesota Tribune reach out to me because my father was actually adopted. And this dude went through some rabbit hole. That's what's the easiest way for me to break this down. But he went on some individual tangent during COVID. It was like a do-it-yourself project. He bought this house. And because he was a reporter, he went on his little investigative, let me find out what's going on about this house. And when he did this research on this house, it actually come out to be this huge old storyline. And what a big thing. I mean, it actually, he ended up turning it into like a 13 series podcast.
Oh, wow.
But it got connected back to me because my family was actually supposed to inherit this house.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And so, but when he called me, I'm kind of like, who are you? Why are you calling me? And how'd you get my info? Like, because you got to think, my dad died when I was 6. I'm 48 now. So we got some time. How'd you get my info?
Yeah.
And so he, after meeting, sharing the story with me, giving me, the details, rundown, so on and so forth, his question that he asked me was, do I think if my family would have gotten this house, do I think it would have made a difference in my upbringing? But what he didn't know was I had already gotten a house from the same people under different circumstances. And so I had to explain it to him. I was just like, I can't say it would have made it. This house would have made a difference for me because it was supposed to go to my grandfather. So if anything, it would have accented things for my grandfather. And since my grandfather already left me one, maybe it would have just increased it. But for me, I don't feel like it would have did anything different because it wasn't directly towards me. And I still was left an inheritance from the same people that was supposed to get the house over here. So we had
come out. You got a house?
I did back then. Didn't we just discuss if I would have known then what I knew now, the game would have been different?
I didn't know it was a house. I didn't know it was a full-fledged house.
It was a full-fledged house and then some. And
$100 and some $1,000. These houses going for $100 and some $1,000, $200.
Like I said, I was 13 when that went down. I was 18 when I thought I was grown, and now I'm 48 talking about all the woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Okay. I'm gonna interject here a little bit. There's a statement that I hear online quite frequently that is hard to pass down generational wealth for, to maintain steadiness within a family system, because usually the people that it gets passed down to really don't know how to. Every generation gets a little bit more laxed on managing that wealth, and it disappears because the hard work that it took to get it is inevitably the mentality that it takes to keep it.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm 100% with you on that. And that's why in this my little scenario, I'm like, you can't make this crap up. Like, you really can't make it up. But when
I thought you got $50. You say you got
no, it was it's actually I'll actually send you because it was a big thing. It was a big thing. They had like a celebration. In the storyline, outside of the fact of the connection to me, the storyline about these folks in general is like amazing, because it talks about they're like the first generation after slavery, and how they right. And so after slavery, how they met, how they went to Missouri, how they ended up in Minnesota, dealing with the race tensions and changes in Minnesota. Even talks about like the structuring and the building of 35. Like, it goes deep, and the things that happened and how they were dividing properties. And the house is actually not too far from where the whole George Floyd thing took place. And it's really kind of deep. From a historical standpoint, I loved it. From a history standpoint of connection for me, like I said, I didn't know these people, respectfully. Yeah. I didn't know these people. My grandfather, my grandmother, my dad all died before, like I said, I was 14. So I've spent an entire life not knowing this other side of the family. So while I appreciate you reaching out to me and trying to share the story, it's kind of like, I don't know these folks, and and I
Mm.
don't, like
That doesn't ground you at all to say that this was part of my lineage in that.
it does.
Yeah.
It does,
Mhm.
but in the same breath, it's kind of, but it goes back to, you want me to get excited about someone over 100 years ago.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
I
saying?
get that. Yeah, like, do I get really ecstatic about my great grandfather? I don't know, but my
Not so much.
grandmother, of course, right? Because we
Right.
had a relationship with her. I get it. Okay.
It's kind of that, but I do appreciate, because like I said, I think you'll enjoy it, Larry. I'll send it to you, but it's
Yeah,
very in depth. He did an awesome job. I will never give this. I mean, for him to be doing this on a do it yourself project during COVID,
yeah,
you went far and beyond, player, and have no connections himself. It's not like this is his family that he was
yeah.
doing. This was some random, I'm bored, let me figure something out. I just bought this house and
But this
went
is
down a rabbit hole.
this is dating back to the end of slavery, not the end of slavery, but it's dating around that time frame
Yes.
that they actually purchased the house. That makes it significantly interesting in and of itself,
There's
right
even a
there.
part in the podcast, and I love, it's actually probably one of my favorite parts, where so this is a Caucasian gentleman doing this report, and he
Yeah.
talks about how, and that he lives in this house, that how he is still sitting using the same old school bar, the tub, the I can't remember what they used to call them, the bear claw tubs, like the old school
Oh
one,
wow.
where that he still had. Like, he talks about, do you know what it's like to sit in this tub that these people sat in back in 19?
Mm,
And I'm like, that's
that's
deep.
powerful.
But
Yeah.
then I had to kind of think about it. How many people have lived in that house since then? And none of
Right.
y'all decided to get a new tub? Y'all tripping, but I feel you. I'm like,
Like
I don't
nobody
know
did
about
anything
that.
remodeling.
Right. Like, y'all literally kept the same tub. But
I
to
think
share,
somebody tricked him. I think somebody tricked him. They just made an excuse as to why they kept that.
that's so funny. Well, I had the opportunity. He did let me come up and see the house. I had the opportunity to see the house, and I saw the tub. So
Uh,
I was just like,
yeah,
yeah, y'all.
I like somebody suckered him. That's a recent purchase, but they nobody want to tell them how cheap they were. Like, no, this is historical.
Well,
No,
it is, but you appreciate it, but then, like I said, that other side of you is like, yeah, I don't know about this. Like,
it was still 100 years old.
that's a
Oh,
lot. That's how old? No crap.
oh,
But then, then you think about the durability. Even the windows in the house, he was showing me like some of the windows were even the original windows, and you could see like the goofy wave pattern in the windows. And I'm like,
mm,
oh yeah, because fella would have got fired if they put that stuff in my house
yeah,
looking like this. But
right.
it was very nostalgic. And like I said, I
Mm,
definitely appreciate it and the work and the history, because he did bring to me a side of history on my family that I had no idea about.
yeah.
None. And so there are benefits to it, but just from an intimate internal standpoint, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't.
So let me bring it to the present here. So does that mean your kids are going to inherit your house and anything happens to you?
Well, they won't inherit my house that I currently own. But then we won't be getting no ancient houses passed down. No, they will not.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. All right. All right.
That's the unfortunate learning lesson of not
Yeah.
having, and that's to point. Actually, I'm glad you bring that up. All jokes aside, that is actually how the house did not get passed down officially to my grandfather,
Mm,
because this young lady, it was his great aunt. So it would be who would be my great great aunt, if I'm
hmm.
correct. She left it to her nephew, but in her will. But because before she passed away, she was placed into a state ran facility of some sort. When she ended up
Oh,
when she ended up
yeah.
passing away, the state confiscated the house for payment.
Ooh,
So she never actually physically got it to him because they went after the estate. So that goes to the point about planning and preparation for people, making sure that when you are taking care of these type of affairs and getting things figured out, keeping those type of things in the back of your mind. Because obviously they didn't know that was going to happen. I'm sure she probably didn't know it was going to happen when she left the will. And my grandfather ended up with nothing because the state intervened and took it.
When we talk about generational wealth, just staying on the topic, that's I guess that's the hook that we're on right now.
Is that our theme?
Do you plan on passing anything down to your children? I mean, I want to make sure that's just. I want to make sure that
yes. Yes, I am. My home that I currently have, I have it set up to where, you know, obviously it goes to my family. So when my children, my husband, you know what I mean? Now, if they decide to keep it and use it as residual income, you rent it out so it becomes residual income, or if someone, and that's their headache. They're going to have to figure out, because I clearly will not be here to help them address that. You know, but yes, I'm leaving that to them, and even down to, I'm not so worried about the cars and the Tupperware and the Farberware and all that nonsense, but the jewelry, the cars, the jewelries, the house, the specific mementos, kind of family heirloom things that may have been passed down, so kind of those things. Yes, I'm making sure I have it outlined and listed who gets what and where it goes, even down to things that I just want donated, you know, donate my clothes, you know what I mean? So I'm literally outlining it for them to make the process easier for them, and to avoid any discrepancies of, well, who gets this and what goes this, and I don't know, what do you think with mom? I don't want them feeling like they have to keep all of my crap, so to speak, because to get rid of it would be dishonoring me in some way. Like, no, ain't nobody thinking about no dang dishes. Y'all don't even cook. Y'all don't get rid of that nonsense. My dogs, you know what I'm saying, where I want the doggies to go, you know, which I already know, I can hear them fighting over the dogs. And that's my dog. You don't know how to take. I'm the dog whisperer. They're coming with me.
Yeah. There you go. So are you technically doing like estate planning, like literally combing out who gets what goes where, and how difficult is that?
So far, I'm going to say not bad. Like I said, I've been collecting, gathering, putting things together over the years. The stage that I'm at right now, based off of what I'm dealing with in life right now, is everything in one central spot. Make sure you have a tangible will, not some bullcrap nonsense that you jotted down on a piece of paper, you know, an actual will that meets the criteria, that's notarized, has its witnesses. I'm even going to do a video, like an actual video recording, so that way it's saved on a USB. There's no discrepancies of what was said, when it was said, the time, date, stamp, and none of that. I actually have individual letters that I've written out to my kiddos. I'm gonna go read them and update them. I wrote the letter several years ago, but I'm gonna go back and update it and see what kind of deep, insightful things mom was on and update it if I need to.
So you might surprise yourself.
Right, but I did write. I wrote them letters on the stuff that I had. So I am going to go through and update that. Passwords, obviously the passwords I have then are not the same passwords I have now, but just really making sure where's the life insurance, who has the life insurance, who to contact for the job, where to contact, what to ask for, so they know what it is and where it is and where to access and where to get to it. Just those things that you may not know at the moment when something goes down.
Are the kids currently aware of those things, or is that something that is in the plan?
They are. No, which is the problem there. They are aware of it, but it's like it doesn't matter if I have it in the shoebox in the closet and something else in the living room closet behind the Christmas tree stuff. It's like I need to get it all in one place. And I don't want the issue being, well, mom told you should remember. But yeah, mom told me like 8 years ago when I was half asleep and she was on some tangent cleaning in the morning and nobody was listening to her. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that it is all together in one place and they know where it's at, and there's no guessing game.
Mhm.
Even to the like I'm like, you guys know my password to
Oh
my
my
phone.
goodness.
That's a given.
I
What'd you say,
think
love?
I think I got to do a hard stop.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. I think I got to do a hard stop. No, I don't. Keep going. Hold on. Let me look at something real quick. Uh, my time is not always the best. No, we're good. I got you. I got you for a whole hour. I got you like
Oh.
this. I hope you're ready. We passed the 30-minute mark. I was like, man, I think I got another interview. That's okay. No, so, um, you know, um, you know, you're in a unique spot. You've lost both your parents already. You've lost your grandparents. Um, does that? I want to get to something here, but that can make a person have a complete. This stage of your life, you've lost some of the primary figures in your life already.
Absolutely.
How does that impact a person? Does that, we've talked about it a little bit, but just from that angle there, like you've lost the primary like patriarchs in your life. Now you are the patriarch, right?
Well, I'm actually the baby still. My
Okay.
sister passed away 2016, so now it's
Okay.
the middle sister and myself. It's just
Okay.
us two, and obviously our children and spouses.
Hmm.
But it's just us two. To your original point, I would say when my father died, and I actually would say this in general when in the work that I do and everything, we can use it as the reason for or the excuse behind.
Hmm.
That's me.
Okay.
There was some again, you can't make it up. I'd probably write a really good book if I ever sat down to write it. My father's death, there was some stuff surrounding his death. He was actually found in a garage. Long story, we're going to leave that alone.
Okay.
But there is some, I could have been like, ooh, I'm a victim to the situation because of how he died. And oh my goodness, my father was never here. I never grew up with a dad, so my relationship with men sucked, and I didn't have, I could, all of those typical things that we may allude to for a parent not being in the home. I could have leaned on that
Hmm.
and acted like I had no God-given sense,
Hmm.
respect, or I could have internalized it and been like, this is the exact reason why I'm not going to fail. And
Yeah.
I lean towards the latter. His death did not define me. The circumstances behind his death did not define me. It is what it is. I am not going to fail. Failure is not an option.
Mm.
By all means, I will succeed. And keep putting my foot forward. I am a little bit of an overachiever, if I could say that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the best, but I want to be darn good. You know what I mean?
What
I
what
want
drives that?
to, huh?
What drives being an overachiever on your end? Is there anything
I think
pushing you?
I think more than anything, making my family, my mom, my parents, my children proud of me and not feeling ashamed, um, or thinking mom could be successful. You know what I mean? Like we all have our stories. I've been married, I've been divorced, I've been remarried, I've been divorced. You know what I mean? Again,
Mm.
I could have used those as reasons to not do well or move forward in life. But in fact, I use all of those things, those challenges, those trials and tribulations as the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let anything keep me from being happy or successful. I'm moving forward. I try to keep a pretty optimistic attitude. I try to, engage, be friendly. Um, I don't believe I have a lot of enemies. I'm sure there's some folks that don't like me. And if you don't, it is what it is. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And, just as I'm sure there's people that like me but for me, it is just about, I want to do what is pleasing to God. I want to make my family proud, and I want to do well in whatever it is that I do. And so, and again, I don't want the negativity of my father's death and circumstances to define who I am. Now, for my mother, I feel like it's not necessarily the opposite, but she saw it. She saw the complete picture. She saw me go through the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys, and still come out on the other side. So for moving forward, it's really doing the same thing. I'm not going to stop doing what I've been doing, Mom. I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to continue to make you proud and move forward. She used to always tell me, her career student, when are you going to get me? When are you going to be? When are you going to have the doctorate? As far as I'm concerned, I earned that sucker. That bill, that school bill I'm paying for says I got it. So whatever you're talking about. But I mean, but just making like I said, making them proud. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question, sort of a directed question towards a lot around the concept of resiliency, I suppose. Okay. What is, you talked about a lot of hard moments. I mean, a lot of this stuff is a reflection of a lot of hard moments that has helped you draw a very strong conclusion. It's even in your framework when you say we can be the excuse for it or the reason behind it, right? Is taking that lemon and turn it into lemonade kind of deal.
Right.
What's one of the hardest seasons or moments in life that you've had to face?
There's so many. There's not one individual. There's so many.
One at the top with it.
I mean, but really, is there? Because it depends on the situation. I mean, I would, if my first guess, I would have to say would be losing a parent, losing your mother, a parent mother. But let's be for real. I was 6 when my dad died. I didn't have that relationship. He wasn't around long enough for me to have that relationship with him. Whereas with my mom, it's a little bit different. The loss of a mother it's kind of like, wow, that's the person that brought you into this world.
Right.
And good, bad, or indifferent, that person's not there. So then when I think about it in the terms of my own children, like, wow, I can't imagine losing a child, much less what my children would feel like losing me.
Yeah.
So it's just
go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you saying, Larry?
No, yeah, you was using that comparison there. It reminds me of something I told my kids about my funeral. I was like, look, when I die, put me in a car, a box. Don't do anything fancy for me. And it made me think of the difference in even I would imagine the emotional difference between losing a mother and a father. I don't know, just in general. I mean, you didn't get a chance to grow up with your father as much, but I think there's still such a distinctive difference.
Like, you're absolutely right. There is. But the goofy thing is, I would have conversations. Like, I'd have straight up conversations like, you missed out on this, this, and this. That sucks. Yeah. Like, you didn't see my kids graduate. You didn't see me graduate. You didn't see not near one of the weddings. Like, I mean, when I have my conversation, I kind of get mad, but then I have to remind myself, like, everything happens for a reason. And if he wouldn't have passed away, would I have been who I was? Would I have done the things that I needed to do to be successful? Would I have learned what I needed to learn and be able to help people the way that I've been able to help them if I wouldn't have gone through and that's why I really live with no regrets. I can be sad, but I live with no regrets because I feel like everything happens for a reason, and everything, if anything would have been different, I would not be who I am today. I could sit up there and be like, I don't dislike my ex-husbands. We have decent relationships for the most part, but to act like, ooh, you sucked and I wish I never would have met you would mean I don't appreciate my kids. Right. Because it was the two of us that made these, and I love the heck out of my kiddos. You know what I mean? I have some of the greatest kids, and I'm sure most parents believe that, but I really do believe I have a well-rounded group of kids. Nice. And so if I would have done anything different in my walk, that could have ultimately impacted anything right on down to my belief. And so there's not one singular moment that I can say stands out more than anything, because they all stand out because of the fact that they were milestones in my life that helped me figure out who I was and become a better version of it each time, and to continue moving forward and be successful.
Okay. Let me zoom back to your mom real quick. Just for like, what's like this is just recent, and I don't want to trigger too much. But I am curious. The therapist, curiosity killed the cat. Are you still going through your stages of grief as it relates to going in and out of those emotional stages?
I think I am actually in a really good place, because I was in a good place with her. Again, I didn't have any regrets.
Yeah.
To kind of to give you some context, I'm more of a murder mystery crime scene whodunit type of a person. The gorier the better, from books to movies. Okay. And so needless to say, I have a nice little book collection. And I happened to be coming across, now I have my faith-based books, don't get me wrong, but I happened to be coming across, I was cleaning my bookshelf off one day and came across this book called Suffering is for Nothing. Clearly not my typical read. Didn't think about it. I couldn't even tell you where I got the book. And if I knew anything, it probably came from my mom. She probably gave me, it was like, here, Natalie, read it. And I was like, okay, yeah. And put it in the corner. Like, darn well I'll read this type of book. And for whatever reason, it caught my attention as I was cleaning this bookshelf. So I kind of thumbed through it and I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Maybe I will read it. Not too thick, maybe about 100 pages, maybe, give or so. I'll put it on the side, read it for poops and giggles. And I did start reading it. Got about halfway through it. And this was probably a month or so before my mother passed away. Got about halfway through it. And what made me stop, for lack of a better way to describe it, is I got to two specific passages. And the one passage that so let me give you some context. So the book is like a diary of a lady that did mission work, who I guess had recently passed away or whatever. And so somebody published her diary. Okay. And so in this diary, she's sharing her own testimony of suffering and the loss of her husbands and friends and families and blah, blah, blah. But there is she defines suffering as having what you don't want and wanting what you don't have. And when I read that, I was like, oh, that's kind of deep. And I kind of played it back in my head again, like suffering is having what you don't want and wanting what you don't have. Okay. Read a few more passages on down. And then she goes on to say, suffering is not the absence of joy, but the presence of God. So I was like, okay, that's even deeper. I closed that book and put it down, and I have not picked that book up since then.
Interesting.
Right? So when this happened with my mother, that was the first thing that I thought of. Those passages.
Why haven't you opened the book back up? Let me come back.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know, because like I said, it was not a typical read. But if I had to speculate based off of my faith and what I believe in, it was because God knew something was about to happen, and He was putting some stuff on my spirit and my heart, in preparation.
Okay,
that is what I really truly believe. So when I did the tribute, my sister and I both did our individual tributes. But when I did my tribute to my mother, I referenced that. And I took it all the way back to the beginning. And I basically said, I'm at peace with this, because we did have a good relationship. I had no regrets. Like, dang, I wish I would have took her phone call that last day, or, ooh, I wish I would have seen her. No, for the last 2-3 years, I've been cooking every Monday for my mother. I'd go out to the house, I'd sit there, we'd fellowship, we'd sit around, talk. It even got to the point where my husband would go and they'd play dominoes for 2-3 hours. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is our time and you guys are playing dominoes, but she loved that. And that's what she wanted. But so when I replay and I'm like, we weren't in a bad place. I was able to see her. I was talking to her. We had relationship, every month I would take her grocery shopping. You know what I'm saying? we would do there was that. And so as I read this tribute, I said, I am at peace because I understood the assignment. I understood her assignment. Our children
Yeah.
are our children are not our children. They are on loan to us. God
Yeah.
chose her to do whatever he needed her to do while she was on earth related to us, and she did it. And we all were successful. Like I said, my dad died when I was 6. She never remarried. So this was a woman raising 3 Black ladies in the
Mm.
80s by herself.
Mm.
We weren't out there doing stuff. I'm sure we probably were out there doing something, but it wasn't stuff that we didn't get so caught up in the stuff to where we couldn't bounce back. I'll put it that way,
You
but
look, you didn't get caught.
right, there you go. There you go. But we all went to college. We all got great jobs. We all had careers. We all got married. We all had families. You know what I mean? Like the main thing that anybody would want their family and their children to have. And, we travel, we spend time with each other. We're not as siblings arguing back and forth. You know what I mean? So that perfect recipe.
Yeah.
And so for me to understand that and receive that, it was like I said, how can I be upset? And she was a believer. She had her faith, and she was very much through and through in her faith. And anybody that knew her knew that. So how could I be more than at peace knowing the relationship I had with her, where we were at when she passed away, knowing what her assignment was, and that she came and she delivered, and that when he was ready, he took her home, and she's up there. And where's she with? Ideally, hopefully, my father and my sister and her parents and her siblings that went before her. Like, how can I be mad and not marvel in that bigger understanding of what this really means? And hopefully, at that door, well done, my good and faithful servant. And that's basically what I had said in my tribute. Like, I'm good. Really, I am, because I understand. I understood. Now, am I sad? Don't get me wrong. Mondays still kind of mess with me because I'd be like, dang, I know I'm supposed to be doing something. I need to find something to do now on my Mondays, because I've literally been cooking for her every Monday for the last 2 to 3 years. So my Mondays, I find myself on the Mondays kind of like, I'm bored. I don't know what to do with my time. So I'm sad, but I'm not. It's not a bad sad. You know what I mean? It's just adapting to the new norm. This is my new norm.
Right. Is there an identity when you're close to someone and then they pass? Is there a identity disruption within yourself? Does it impact who you think you are? Does it impact? At
this point, I'm going to say no. Because I do feel like I am me. But we also know that it could be anything that triggers it that could make something that easy day not be so easy. I know. So one of her favorite songs that we would sing, it was her, myself, and a couple other family members. Whenever it would come on, we would sing it. You know how we can get Superwoman by Karen White.
Oh, nice.
Like up there saying, I did hear that song one day randomly, and it was kind of like, oh, so I mean, again, I'm sure there's going to be those moments of adjusting on things that you normally don't, like I said, I'm not listening to Karen White every day, so it may hit me differently when I do hear it on that one occasion. I feel like it's been about 2 months, close to 2 months, so my Mondays aren't as bad as when it first started. Those first couple of Mondays were hard, but the Mondays aren't as bad anymore. I do find myself at times frustrated in the day and be like, I'm about to call my mom and tell her the nonsense and I'm like, yeah. But I did that with my sister too, because my sister was that outlet for a while when she was still alive. I'd call her quick and be like, these folks up in here got me here outside myself, we'd sit up there and we'd go back and forth. So I feel like that I still will need to adjust through. But overall, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place. You know, I mean, I'm not hurting
Mhm.
out of, I'm not hurting out of pain. Like, why and how could you?
Right.
I'm just hurting out of, I miss you.
Yeah. What's one of the greatest lessons you've learned from your mother?
Mm. I would say the greatest lesson is giving what she gave me as a single parent,
Mm.
making sure that I feel like I need to carry that on. And maybe that's where that making you proud kind of kicks in, because I feel like I said, as a single mother doing what she did in the 80s by herself
Mhm.
speaks a lot of volumes. Um you're just the whole little mixture of things, and she she did it, and she handled it well. Like I said, we travel. If we were poor, I didn't know,
Mm.
exact thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
um I couldn't tell. We did family reunions. I played sports. I played AAU sports. So if we were poor, she it wasn't she did what she needed to do to make us not think we were.
Mm.
Not that she needed to. I'm just saying that's where she was at in
Yeah.
her provider role. Because like I said, she
Yeah.
never remarried. There was no dudes around the house. You know, there wasn't any of that.
Yeah.
She maintained that. So if my mother could do it, if she could afford us the lifestyle that she afforded us as a single parent with some college education, there is no reason on God's green earth that I shouldn't be able to do the same thing for my family with all the education that I got, respectfully, in a two-parent household.
Yeah.
I
Um,
refuse to give them anything less than what she gave me.
yeah. And so that's carrying on her legacy. That is making her proud. That
Yes.
is passing down inheritance of resilience, and strength. Yes. Um, I've ate up an hour of your time so far, and it just gets juicier by the moment. I'm not gonna lie.
He
We
says,
went, huh?
I said, I can tell you some stuff.
Yeah, I know. I said she's been around the block a couple of times. She's got a legacy behind her.
A
She
little bit, a
knows
little bit.
she's got a wealth of loss, but a wealth, but in return, she's gained so much wisdom, and you appear very grounded, and you appear to have very strong perspective on life that only comes, I would imagine, through suffering. A lot of people end up living with a spoiled perspective on life sometimes. They
That's true.
think that things are owed to them, rather than saying, no, this is a gift. Everything that's in front of me is a gift. And how do I maximize off that gift? You seem to have gotten that message early. Um, and what a beautiful thing to experience, but what a jacked up way to get it, kind of as far as the loss piece. Sucks to
Yeah,
lose your
for sure.
father at 6. But the beautiful thing is you seem like you had a great relationship with your mother, and maybe that balance, and it seems like that balanced you out quite a bit there.
I would say definitely once I became an adult and started having my own children,
Mm.
obviously when I was a teenager, she was evil and didn't know anything. And just because it
Oh,
happened to you and doesn't mean
who
it's
all
going to
doing that
happen to
right
me.
now?
But that's it. But what child that doesn't think their parent is crazy and doesn't know anything? Like you're gonna ruin my lifestyle. You're gonna ruin my life. Oh my goodness, leave me alone. Like, okay, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, yes, as an adult, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I mean, in my life altogether, don't get me wrong. But once I became smart enough to realize she was not out to destroy me or my life,
Right.
yes, she was. I remember her telling me when I went through my first divorce, kind of to my point,
Yeah.
Natalie, everything you have, you can get again and better. And I'm looking at her like, I'm gonna work my butt off for this. I'm not
Yeah.
giving anything up. You're tripping. I didn't
Yeah.
get it. I didn't understand what she meant when she said that.
Yeah.
But I had to learn what she meant when she said that.
Yeah.
And now, which makes it like, oh yeah, ain't nobody thinking about that. I said, oh, whatever. You
Yeah.
can have it. You want it? Take it. I promise you, I'll get something else. And I'm not sure.
Water off a duck's back. Yeah.
Yes.
Any last comments? I'm not going to eat up too much of your time here.
No.
Uh,
I appreciate it. The opportunity.
I like to do. I like to keep the engine going. You got a good narrative. I've probably got I could probably ask you 1,000 questions. Are you interested in doing more? Having more of these
Absolutely.
online? Okay. So
Absolutely.
you definitely get invited to another thing, and I got tons of more questions to ask. So appreciate
I
you
look
for
forward.
showing up. Nice to meet you, Natalie. This is our first time officially meeting, and so this is a beautiful initial exchange here. You seem like a very beautiful, genuine spirit. So nice to meet you.
I appreciate that. I try to be.
Yeah. So till next time, I'm gonna let you loose and cut the stream off here. All right.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.